Breaking news: Finturi declares coffee as hoodlums loot warehouses. Following the economic mishaps and the hunger that is ravaging the entire country, the governor Amadu Finturi of Adamawa State has declared a 24-hour coffee on the state. The governor announced the measure on Sunday being today after hoodlums stormed two warehouses looting items which most of which are foods items. Information reaching us that the chief press secretary of the governor, of course, said the coffee followed the dangerous dimension the activities of hoodlums have assumed across the state capital as they attack people with mattresses, broke into business premises, cutting away properties, food items, and other, of course, essentials. With the curfew imposed, according to him, there will be no movement throughout the state in order to restore sanity and decorum. Well, uh, Right Honorable Venturi said only people on essential duties with valid identification would be permitted to move around during the periods of the curfew. What do you have to say concerning this? This is what we are saying. When a government neglects the welfare of the citizens, I don't just mean the governments of Adamawa State, across the states in Nigeria, most of the states are not viable, not because money are not being remitted to the states, but unfortunately, we have poor managers and called governors who, unfortunately, rather than thinking out how to better the lot of the masses, resort to embezzling and stealing from the public coffer, our commonwealth, leaving the entire state impoverished and indebted to the tune of billions, several billions of naira. The unfortunate thing is that most of them which have done such damage at the inspiration of their or winding up of their own political dispensation as governors will also be paid humongous amount under the disguise of compensation or allowances for serving as a governor while the state they claim to have served remain impoverished, haggard, and our citizens plunge into unending economic uh, difficulties. Well, this is what you have in a society that neglects her citizens over decades without any preparation or equipment, of course, to enhance the well-being of the citizenry. This is quite unfortunate. These are armies of impoverished persons neglected as a result of the misgovernance and the irresponsibility on the part of the government, not just at the center, but down to the states and local government. Well, we are seeing that, and the government, unfortunately, is calling them miscreants and hoodlums. These are people that have been victim of the society, victim of cruelty, of misgovernance, and poor, of course, economic policies that have not in any way bettered the lot of Nigerians, despite billions of naira that goes as allocation to the various states. But unfortunately, rather than harnessing and reinvesting them for the good of all asunder, you see some governors buying SUVs, bulletproof cars, having ostentatious fleeting cars, of course, having garages and other buying houses and looting the state to stupor. It's quite unfortunate, but then this is not what coffee could solve when we have neglected our duty and, of course, primary responsibility to the citizens as politicians or political leaders. This is what we see. A time will come, definitely, they will come after the political elites because these are people who have done good damage, not just to them, but to their children and posterity. That is quite unfortunate. But then we should not celebrate the coffee because it's just the beginning, and eventually now everybody is scampering for safety because the army of the neglected and victimized masses have risen now. Who can stop them? Well, not just the barrels of gun could deter them because the damage has been done, and the consequences will be on all of us. But that is quite sad. Well, we'll keep bringing your way the latest developments as far as this is concerned. We hope that the coffee will elapse, but then it is just a way of uh, just calming the tempo. But then the damage has been done, and it is quite unfortunate then that there's nothing we can do because the damage has been done. Now the government should take responsibility for such impoverished armies who are hungry, haggard, and have no future, unfortunately, uh, for them to contribute meaningfully to the existence of humanity. But then you may not have to blame them because they have nowhere to fall back. But then to constitute what I call nuisance, which would have been avoidable. I hope the government will, of course, correct its anomaly and chart a new way forward. But then, unfortunately, this could be a moment of recourse, a moment where having some decadence, having some corruption, having sold embezzlement of public funds over the decades, possibly the society is here to reap what they have sown, or possibly for not holding this within the corridor of our responsible for their inactions and insensitivity to the plight of the masses. But now we are caught up in that reality, and the government describing them as hoodlums or imposing a coffee or whatever in any responsibility or justification will not be the only way or panacea to solving these problems. We must rise to address the leadership a vacuum or crisis erupting, of course, the Nigerian state and, of course, by extension, the African region. This is a time bomb, only buying time to happen. It remains inevitable unless we have a recourse, of course, to begin to do the right thing the right way. But then we possibly might save some, of course, discussion that is quite imminent and very much around the corner.